come back into, or need a motion to come back into open session from our closed session. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to re-enter an open session.
Thought we did it back there.
We didn't
I'm
do
sorry.
it.
Make a motion, we re-enter open session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're back in open session. Again, welcome to those of you here tonight. Appreciate everyone who made an attempt to get out in all the rain and the cold weather. It's beginning to feel like wintertime tonight. But we typically begin our meeting, this portion, with a moment of silence, and I'll ask that we all bow and meditate for the first few moments about the business that we have before us, keeping in mind the students in our system and the work that we do on behalf of them. So if you will, bow with me for the first few moments. Thank you. I'll introduce Nyasha Cowan from Third Creek Elementary School, third grader. Nyasha here. She's going to come up and introduce our Pledge of Allegiance for us. So let's stand as she comes forward.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Nyasha, for leading us in that pledge. Let's begin with our consent agenda. We do not have any administrative items tonight, but we do have personnel items to review. We have Dr. Lassane here to answer any questions. We have item B, the acceptance of resignations, retirements, rehires, terminations, and leaves of absence. C, the approval of classified personnel. D, the approval of licensed personnel. E, the approval of administrative appointments. And F, the approval of reinstated personnel. Dr. Lassane.
Dr. Cash, Mr. Johnson, members of the board, you've had the opportunity to review the November personnel report. At the committee of the whole meeting, we pointed out some inconsistencies and hopefully answered some questions just in relation to timelines on items. Are there any additional questions on the November personnel report? Not, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lassane. We also have the minutes from the October 12th Committee of the Whole meeting and the October 12th Board of Education meeting that we held the same evening. If there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda items and these minutes from October.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we accept the minutes, the two board meetings, and the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We'll move on into our recognition portion. We have the American Heart Association from Sharon Elementary School. Mr. Johnson.
Thanks, Dr. Cash. We have a special guest with us tonight, Mrs. Ginger Edmiston with the American Heart Association, and she will be presenting a Fit Friendly Award to Sharon Elementary School. Just a little bit of background about the award. The American Heart Association recognizes schools that go above and beyond with their focus on student wellness through the Fit Friendly program. Tonight we would like to recognize Sharon Elementary for being nationally recognized as a fit-friendly work site by the American Heart Association. To be recognized for this award, you have to apply and meet 6 physical activity requirements, 2 nutritional requirements, and create a culture of wellness throughout your campus. Congratulations. Well, maybe I should let Ginger announce who the winners are.
Doing awesome.
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, but tonight we do have Katie Flandry and her principal, Jason Humphrey, with us, and so we want to recognize them as well. Now, Ginger, tell us something else about the award.
I am excited to be here tonight, so thank you so much for allowing me to be here. The Fit Friendly Award is something that we have started the past couple of years with the American Heart Association. Like Mr. Johnson said, for a long time in the schools, most of our programs were focusing on the students with Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart and heart health education with them. And because the schools are the largest employers in a lot of our areas, we were missing a huge opportunity to expand our mission with the adults and with the staff. Heart disease affects 1 in 3 people, but ironically, 80% of it is preventable with lifestyle choices. So that is a lot about what the Fit Friendly program is all about, is getting the information out there and in front of the staff, and them thinking in a heart-healthy way and giving them the opportunity to exercise and eat healthy and create a culture of health. So I would like to recognize Katie Flandro and Jason Humphrey from Sharon Elementary School. This is a national award, so this is a pretty big deal for them. So thank you so much.
Guys, if y'all stay right there, we've got a certificate for you, and we want to do a picture too. Mr. Gaines, could you present that for us?
Next, we'll move on into our non-consent agenda. Have school improvement plans. Second reading, Dr. Taylor.
Yes, Dr. Cash, members of the board, you have had school improvement plans available for review online since September 30th. As we noted earlier, the 6 schools that were identified by the state as low-performing schools have gone back and revised their plans to ensure that they met those criteria. I think they were uploaded late last week. Thursday or Friday. They have been working very, very closely with district staff and their executive directors to ensure that they have all of the components to meet those criteria. And we've been working as a district to put some additional supports in place for those schools. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have about any school improvement plans.
Are you comfortable that those additional plans are going to be able to bring them to where they need to be?
I do think the schools are doing a lot to make improvements, to continue to address growth issues. Will it bring them to ultimately the level that moves them in 1 year out of low-performing status? That is yet to be determined, but I do think the schools have some good supports in place and some good measures in place to address the growth issues and to address some of the core instructional issues within the schools. In addition, we've also got some additional supports in place from the Department of Public Instruction. I know Dr. Judy Goins is coming and working with actually all of our elementary schools and our elementary principals at principal meetings throughout the entire course of the year, in addition to some specific pieces she's working with identified schools.
Other questions or comments?
And as this is the second reading, so it will require a vote tonight.
Second reading requires a vote. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the school improvement plans as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Next is the 2015-16 budget resolution. Melissa White.
Good evening. We do finally have the 2015-16 budget resolution for your approval tonight. Just to point out some highlights, the total budget is $184,500,000. The state funding increased approximately $1.6 million, mainly for teacher raises. Our local current expense budget increased about $1,350,000 or $62 per pupil. And a capital outlay appropriation from Iredell County increased 51% or about $1.5 million. And that has already been reduced by $600,000 that the county withholds for a sustainability plan for technology. The total increase from Iredell County was about $2,869,000. Already included in your beginning budget for the state is a reduction of $51,800. That's a result of losing students to new charter schools and increased growth in existing charter schools. Additionally, the budget has also been reduced by $405,000. That's for our participation in the North Carolina Virtual Public Charter School. Not charter school, I'm sorry, just North Carolina Virtual Public Schools. So the initial budget does call to use $344,000 in capital outlay funds, and capital outlay fund balance, and an additional $1.3 million, I'm sorry, I'm totally lost on this memo. That would result in about $1.3 million in fund balance available at the end of the year. And the local current expense budget would use about $1.6 million in fund balance. That would leave $3.9 million at the end of the year. Again, this is our initial budget, and things have probably already changed since now because this budget was put together in October, and the capital budget was put together much earlier in the year. And I know there have been some significant changes to that budget, but once we get the resolution passed, we'll bring forward some amendments to have all that in place. So are there any questions about this resolution?
Questions or comments about the budget?
I think that it seems like a pretty good budget. Again, our big expenses are our technology expenses, our expenses.
Second
for
to salary and
computers.
benefits, correct.
And that bothers me that we, how much money we're having to spend on technology, and it's causing us to have to lose teaching positions. I understand technology is important, but I always believe teachers are more important. I do think we've turned the corner. I think I see a lot of positives in this budget from the one a few years ago. So I don't mind passing this budget. But I'm very hopeful we can have a balanced budget next year and possibly even be putting some savings away. You think that's possible?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Iredell-Statesville Board of Education request that administration present a proposed balanced budget to the board for the 2016-17 school year.
Second.
Any further discussion on that motion?
Wait a minute, what? Restate that again?
I requested that the administration present us a proposed balanced budget for next school year. Now, we need to, that's what we'll work from, a proposed balanced budget.
Which is different from the budget we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
So this is a different.
Yeah, we're not talking about this budget.
You may want to consider the
Vote on
matter
this
that's before
budget
you first and see if you can approve this year's budget, and then if there are other, I don't think his request is out of order, but maybe just not, maybe we should hold that until there's discussion and consideration of the 15-16 budget.
I'll make the motion, we accept this budget for this year, 15-16.
Second.
Are we, just in terms of being in order, I need help here. We have a motion and
I
a
think-
second on the table, so do we need to?
Probably, if those could be withdrawn, just so that you can
Yeah,
consider the
since-
15-16 budget, and then Mr. Page could be recognized to make his motion again.
and this is proper since you did not formally introduce my budget, I will withdraw my budget pending approval of the gentleman that gave me the second until after we vote on the 15-16 budget.
I will withdraw the second.
Okay. So now we can entertain a motion.
Somebody did, yeah, now you can entertain Mr. Gallion and Mr. Kelly's motion.
Make a motion that we accept this year's budget.
I seconded.
Just for clarification, the motion, I believe, states that we approve the 2015-16 budget that's been proposed to us. Right. Just for clarification. All right, any further discussion on that motion? If not, all those, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question to Ms. White, or does, okay. Back in March, you guys, you and some of the administrators presented to the board saying that you had met in executive committee about department cuts, and such as, I know the central office at Ray Street cut $41,000, and then you cited some other departments. Were those cuts, does this budget, is it indicative of all those cuts that executive committee you guys brought to the board back in March?
Okay, so you put me on the spot just a little bit because you're asking me to remember something that was brought in March.
Yes.
So I can't say with 100% certainty that that's the case because I don't have those figures and those numbers in front of me, just to be fair.
Okay, well, and I want to be fair. For example, the central office, Ray Street, that line item, you guys, or the district submitted reducing that budget by $41,000. I believe it was police officer position.
Okay, so that's not necessarily in the Race Street budget line item. That particular position would have been from the at-risk allotment, because I believe I know what you're talking about, and that's not in the local Race Street office budget line item, but that position was reduced.
Okay.
That position was our district Safe Schools Coordinator, Steve Hampton, and he did work at Race Street, but we paid him out of
Right.
at-risk funds.
If you have something in front of me, or in front of you that you want me to look at,
Yes.
so to answer, just so the whole board knows the conversation, what Mr. Johnson just explained is exactly what Ms. Haynes was referring to, and that position has been reduced and is included in this budget.
Thank you.
And just for a point of clarity too, the report that you have there and you're referencing, that came from the Budget Committee. And the Budget Committee is a group of folks from across the district, including, I think last year we had 3 principals serve on our Budget Committee, if I remember correctly.
We usually have 3, one from middle, elementary, and high.
There were 4 last
I think there were 4. I think there was like an at-large
Yeah.
position.
So it's not the Executive Committee, but it is the Budget Committee.
Any other questions or comments about the budget? We have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Page, would you like to reintroduce your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Iredell-Statesville Schools Board of Education requests the administration present a proposed balanced budget to the board for the 2016-17 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second regarding the following school year's budget. Any discussion?
And this is for the final budget, right? Like what we're voting on today? Not the
No,
preliminary?
a proposed balanced budget.
The proposed, which would be, what would
What
be the
he
timeline?
will come
for that?
to us with is to start with. I see no way we can say we have to have a budget proposed. I mean, we have to have a budget that's balanced. Not at this time. We don't know what's going to happen. But I would like to at least have a proposed balanced budget for us to work from, instead of working from one that's $1.5 million. And I think we can, I think next year's a year to do it. I really do. I think we can. My main goal is to have administration work toward that, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, and I feel confident we can because we won't have our lease payment next year. Now, we never know what curves are going to be thrown at us, but each year we try to have a balanced budget, believe it or not. Even last spring, when we brought you a budget, we got pretty close to having a balanced budget. We got it down to about $650,000, but by the end of summer, the changes that were imposed by the General Assembly had driven that up to 1.6. So,
and I understand. I mean, we don't know where we'll be in a year, but I just would like for us to go on record as supporting a proposed balanced budget.
yes, and I think administration is with you 100%. I think we'll have our best chance since the beginning of the Great Recession to do that next year.
I asked this question last week at the Committee of the Whole. When was the last time the Iredell-Statesville schools passed or had a balanced budget without using savings?
I think it was 3 years ago.
And enrollment has decreased.
It's gone down
Since.
slightly, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
But the cost of doing business has gone up. Just like a big portion of your overage this year were the teacher raises that was given by the General Assembly.
And that's going to probably be a large, it's an election year, so the teachers will probably get a good raise. It's usually the way that works.
And before the large wage increases came into play, we would see that our salaries would go down, but benefit costs would go up, even though salaries went down. So benefit increases are huge for our district, or for every district in the state.
Any other comments or questions?
I understand the motion, that we should come up with a balanced budget to start with. I just don't want it to be perceived that our administration has not always started that way. You know, I think they've always been after a balanced budget. They didn't want to spend any more than what we had, and they certainly didn't want to go into the fund balance, and we don't want to do that either. That's the only question I have in reference to it. It's like almost like an onus, but they're already doing that. I feel like they've already done that year after year after year. And as been mentioned, and what we've just been through in the past 6 months, we had this, but we didn't get this. Then we got that, then we didn't get this. Then this other thing changed. Then you got an increase, then you got a decrease, then you got more, then you got less. Then we had to shift. All those things occur after we get close to a balanced budget, and we've got a proposal sitting there. Yes, we can start with a balanced budget each time, I think, but then it gets out of hand, and I don't know of anybody that has any control over the things that happened that put us to a 1 point, whatever it was in the fund balance. I mean, those are just comments. I understand what it is. I just know that it's just like the national balanced budget amendment. I would never support that because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, and if you put yourself on that nail, then you could get hanged. So, anyway.
Well, it's one other comment to follow that up too. Historically, and I don't remember which year now because it all runs together in my mind, but we saved some money and built our fund balance anticipating the economy was going to go sour so that we would have money in the fund balance to use. So early on, it was planned use of those savings as well. So I think, you know, we need to remember the history behind some of these decisions, and it's not that we've had an irresponsible administration by any means. And I certainly feel too, like everybody else, that we should strive initially for a balanced budget, and I totally am in agreement with the motion. no other comments or questions?
I got one other comment. The two budgets that we have had since I've been on the board were proposed, they weren't balanced, but we understood it. They didn't bring them to us balanced and then said, here's what you'd have to cut to not pay this. And I think it's only responsible that we may have to go into fund balance. I hope we don't. But the point is, the last 2 years, I don't think any decisions would have been different, because I think we've done a good job with what we've had to do, because some of it was part of what we had. So I don't think this motion is to say anything derogatory toward the administration or anybody that was preparing it. What I wanted, the reason I seconded the motion is because I'd like to go on record that if we can, let's start with one and look at saying, if this is what we got to cut, how deep is this cut? Then we can talk to the people out here and say, do we need to go into this or not? And a lot of the things that we had proposed to cut or didn't cut, I think most of the people are glad we didn't cut them and went into fund balance. So that's the reason I think, but I think it's our responsibility to do that. And I think, like you said, this year's opportunity to maybe come in to do that.
And like I mentioned at the CAL meeting last Monday, when we entered into the one-to-one computer lease, it was all out on the table that we would have to use fund balance every year of that lease, and you'd use it down. You didn't want to use it down below a certain amount, but then you knew that you would build it back up again. It'd be like a roller coaster. You'd go down, and then you had to build it back up so that you could spend it down again. So this is the last year of the downward, and so next year our target needs to be to save X amount versus to use X amount.
And I didn't mean my motion to be derogatory toward anyone. I just, agreeing with Max that just, we'll put it out there, this is what we're trying to do. I mean, you know, the public, we want to balance the budget. We didn't this year, but we couldn't. I mean, I agree on that. I'm just saying that's going to be, I think our goal is to really work toward actually being able to save some money. And nothing in the past, I was looking to the future.
Your motion, though, for clarity and point of order, we have to balance a budget. We have balanced it the last 2 years. It's against the law not to balance it. We balanced it with fund balance. You need to make that correct. We did not violate the law by not having a balanced budget. As your motion says, we will balance a budget without fund balance. Is that what you're saying? Clarity?
He just said to propose, to bring a proposed budget that does not use fund balance to balance it.
Thank you.
Be sure that's added in there, Kelly, if, okay, yeah.
No further discussion, then all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the 2016-17 school calendar. Ms. Walberg.
Good evening. Last week at the Committee of the Whole, I think you were given a copy of the calendar proposed for 2016-17. When the calendar committee first met in September, we sent out our proposed calendar to all the staff, and we got comments. We looked at those comments and met again, and the calendar that you're seeing before you is the cooperation of the whole calendar committee and as much of the input from staff that we could work, given the restrictions that the state puts on the calendar.
Comments or questions about this proposed calendar?
It bothers me we only have 3 snow makeup days, but with what the state gives us, you did the best you could.
Well, and if you'll notice over on the left-hand side under the key, missed days will be taken in the order in which they appear. Other time, including Saturdays and extending days, may be necessary. So we've at least put people on notice.
Well, a lot of times, I don't know whether the whole package ever goes out or not, but if somebody just looks at the calendar, they get an idea. But when they read that third page with all the restrictions that we have in reference to building a calendar, it really does get tight when you start doing dates, and this is a good calendar in reference to everything that we have to do.
And the copy of the calendar law did go out to everybody too, but it's kind of laborious to go through it, so.
What about the CCTL and the VPAC calendar?
Those calendars are done separately because they follow the Mitchell Community College schedule.
So will that?
We'll have
Will
those.
that be,
Not part of this.
okay.
They'll be separate.
When will that?
I will let you know. I'll find out.
All right.
Any other comments or questions about calendar? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the calendar as presented for 2016-17.
I'll make that motion that we approve this 2016-2017 school calendar.
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Ms. Haynes. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I always like the idea of approving a calendar that starts in 2016 in November of 2015. That's
Mr. Kelly, we have had so many questions
that
about school
far,
calendar
that we're that
already.
far ahead of time but it's necessary. I understand that. It's just interesting that it is that way.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have item D, the policy number 1750/7220, the grievance procedure for employees. And again, this is a second reading and will require a vote. Mr. Johnson.
Right. Board members, in your packet is a copy of our policy, and I'll start by asking you to turn to the first page of the policy and look at letter A, informal resolution. And to strengthen the language in informal resolution, Mr. Cute has drafted a proposal, and it is the next to the last page in your packet. So if you'll turn to that next to the last page now, let's just read that new paragraph. And if you approve, this paragraph will replace paragraph A in its current form. And it simply says, it is desirable for an employee to resolve problems through free and informal communication. The employee should first seek resolution from his or her supervisor. Should resolution not occur after meeting with one's supervisor, or should the supervisor be the person with whom the problem exists, employees may seek informal resolution through the administrative chain of command. When the problem is resolved informally, employee and administrator shall sign a release which so indicates the resolution. So I hope that's what you were after when you asked us to go back and work on this, but we do present that to you tonight for your consideration.
And I just want to clarify too, that this is the second level of informal grievance, right? I mean, it's like the basic free and informal communication would be if you go to your person and say, you know, you're parking in my spot, will you move? And they comply, okay?
Right.
But then if it goes to the supervisor, if they don't move their car, you go to the supervisor and you'll say,
That's
so-and-so's parking in my car. And then if she reconciles it, then we sign this waiver.
That's correct.
Okay. But if it goes any further, then we go to the formal.
Right. Then
Okay.
paragraph, let's see, the formal grievance process would kick in if they're not able to do this informally. Right.
But this isn't for every little
No,
teeny-weeny grievance, okay? Just for
No,
the
it's
second
just-
level of grievance.
just when an
Okay.
employee feels like they want to address this with their supervisor or with the person above their supervisor, if they've not been able to get resolution on their own. And then also attached to your packet is the statement that we would ask the employee and the supervisor to sign. And that would be voluntary. If an employee did not want to sign this, saying that they had reached an informal resolution, then we certainly wouldn't force anybody to sign this document.
But it does give a note of finality if anybody wants to look back to that point, correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Well, the only question I have is if they do, how are they gonna know what that is? You know, if me and you have a problem and we both signed this, that we resolved it, in a month from now, I'll come back and say, you still got that same problem. You said, no, that was this, not this. How do we know we assigned, is there not a place on here that says what the issue was?
Well, because you give the date, and it would be, that's what I thought. I didn't know if the.
Well, I said, since it was informal or way it's doing it, I just thought it'd have issue of parking space. I'm just using that for your example. I
That
mean,
would be okay. The other thing, Mr. Johnson, if it's not mandatory, you should probably change, we should probably change the word in the last sentence of the informal resolution to may sign instead of shall sign.
Mr. Johnson, can I speak to Mr. James's
Yes.
question? Number one, generally, when these things come forward, you're going to have separate documents that person's probably bringing you with regards. Generally, if someone brings forth, whether it's at the school site with the principal or whether it's at central office, they're generally asked to put some basic things in writing. So you would have that document, that documentation also,
it ties to
the
that date.
communication. Exactly.
That would tie to that date, okay. And that's fine, then, we don't need to change
Thank you.
that part.
I thought if there was something written, that automatically moved to the formal. Is that not right?
And it also, I'm sorry, I was under the impression that once it became formal, then it became a part of the person's personnel record and all that stuff, and that this, not by being nebulous, but by tying it to a date rather than an event, that may be better and more protect the privacy rights or the personnel rights on both sides. I don't know that it's that big of a deal one way or the other, but that's what I had in my mind when I drafted it that way.
But if it ties to the discussion with the date, then it accomplishes that.
Other questions or comments? If we're happy with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
Mr. Coute, are you suggesting we, on the
That'd be part of the
letter
motion.
A, should we change the word shall to may?
I am suggesting that based on what Mr. Johnson said tonight, that it wouldn't be meant, that you could sign it rather than had to sign it. Nobody's going to lose their job if they don't sign a release after an informal resolution.
So do you have to have an amendment to the motion?
I was just gonna make it part of the motion, is what I was gonna do.
Okay, as amended, okay.
Okay, I'd like to accept the policy as presented with one grammatical change on, it's not a page on that, with the informal resolution insert at the very end. It should read, may sign a release. And I would like to accept for policy 1750 and 7220, grievance procedure for employees.
Do we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That finishes the non-consent agenda item for this evening. It's now time for public comment. We've got two people who signed to speak to the board tonight. I'll just mention again for those who don't regularly attend the meeting, we usually have the speaker come forward, give name and a bit about the subject they're speaking on, and then try to honor our 3-minute limit so that we're fair to everyone. Jacob Dillinger from Lake Norman High School.
How you guys doing today? Good evening. My name is Jacob Dillinger. I'm a student at Lake Norman High School. I'm a senior. I am here on behalf of my senior project to talk about the performing arts and the district and everything we can do to help it. Never used these things before. Let me just give some feedback on the Iredell-Statesville School Board for the arts. The fine arts is provided in the curriculum as a means of developing creativity and expressive awareness. Students gain powerful tools for learning artistic models and for problem solving. The number of high schools, out of the 4 out of 5 high schools in the county have a theater program. 5 out of 5 high schools have a chorus and music program. Also, going to the middle schools, out of the 4 middle schools we have, only half of them have a theater program, and all of them most likely have a chorus and music program as well. What I want is to praise that we know that we have these programs. But how many of you actually knew that? How many of you know we have a football team or a basketball team? I am in an advanced acting in my school, and we recently just went to state for our NCTC competition. But who is really going to know that? There was no announcement on the intercom in my school. No one made a memo. There's not going to be a pep rally or anything like that. No one's getting aware of it. We have to spread it ourselves. What I'm asking is for basically just fair recognition, that the hard work and talent of all the students that are in theater get recognized, and for everything else. I would like people to take this back to the PTSA groups and administration. Let's make this change happen for the improvement of all of students. You can do so many things to improve this theater. It's just so little. All you have to do is just get involved with it, pay attention to it, start funding it a little more, just show them that you care. That's all you really need to do. That's all we really want. And I'm just a poor high school student that's getting ready to graduate as a senior year, but I still care about the theater program. I'm trying to move on to be an actor and everything like that, and I just want everyone to care about it. Thank you guys for having me up here to speak. My name is Jacob Dellinger. Keep in favor of the arts. Go Wildcats. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Stephanie Wood from North Iredell High.
Before you start that timer, those of you that know me know how hard 3 minutes is going to be. Okay, little humor. Okay, I'm ready. Mr. Johnson, school board members, other panel members, and everyone else. My name is Stephanie Wood, and I am in my 24th year of teaching at North High. Last Thursday, I sent an email to you, Mr. Johnson, and all high school principals about a very important issue that would be decided at tomorrow's principals meeting. Since I only received a response from West Iredell's principal, I decided to come tonight and share in person. I'm speaking on behalf of numerous teachers, parents, and students at North regarding changes that have been discussed in our graduation exercises. Graduation is a time for celebrating a 13-year journey, and many who have made this journey have accomplished much, and their academic achievement should be recognized. I do agree with the new system using the college labels cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude. This does allow us to recognize more students, and by describing what each honor means in the program, the graduation program, the new system allows for more levels of achievement. Yet in an email from Mrs. Hayes, our staff was told that no honors will be verbally announced. Our staff and students have heard many reasons for this. It could lengthen the program, lessen the significance because so many may be recognized, and even that some students may feel bad about themselves because they don't hear any honors mentioned after their names. As teachers, we preach rigor and excellence. We push, we prod, we encourage, and do whatever we can to instill this excellence in our students. Yet a decision to allow the graduation program to speak for itself says, but your accomplishment isn't worth our time. This is wrong. Those announcing individual names must pause as each student walks across the stage. So the Stephanie Wood summa cum laude, notice I said summa, will not add time. It is a personal moment for each student and their family. It is special, and we should cheer in these students' accomplishments, especially those who have earned the right to hear with honors, not negate them. Further, it has been noted that the top 3 academic students will no longer be graduation speakers. Only number 1 and an elected speaker would have this opportunity. Why, after all these years, would we take away this privilege that has been earned? The point has been made that the top 3 GPA students may not be the best speakers. So what? They have worked hard to earn this rank, and even if they are mediocre, they have earned the right to be mediocre. These top 3 may not be the most popular, but they are the best of the best. They are the valedictorian, salutatorian, and honor speaker. They should retain these titles and their privilege to speak at this memorable and special ceremony. We do so much in Iredell-Statesville to save students who struggle academically and behaviorally. We offer makeup time, credit recovery, and a vast number of special services for those who need it. And even when I haven't agreed with all we've done, because it was what's best for the students, we've done it, and I have gone along with it and embraced it. Let's do what is best for these students on the other end of the spectrum. We've told them to set their goals high. Let's not change our recognition of those who have aimed high and met the mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Have anyone else who would wish to speak? Ms. Klontz?
Thank you, Stephanie. I think that said a lot, and the answer to that is the dumbing down of America. If you don't go to work this week, if you don't go to work for the next 9 weeks, are you going to get your health benefits? You're going to lose your job. But if you don't do your work at Cottle Creek Elementary, the principal wants to give you a 59. You're only 40 points away from 100 then. When you started out with nothing, years ago, you were 100 points away from nothing. So, Stephanie, that's part of what you're bringing up is this drift down of the dumbing down. And it comes to the point of what I wanted to speak about tonight was what's in a name. Is it STEM? Is it STEAM? Or is it reading, writing, and arithmetic? Some school wants to be a STEAM academy. It used to be we wanted STEM academies. Well, the arts got left out. I told Will tonight, quit riding around with the video game stuck in your nose. The reason I appreciate the arts is because it gives the math and science side of the brain time to process the math and science, and you get to enjoy the beautiful things in life. Art was a big part of IB. We don't have a course program at Northview anymore. Why not? We ought to have it. Mr. Page, technology is killing the student-parent relationship, so you really ought to be concerned about spending money, keeping the parents involved. Money for IB at Mount Morn? No. Miss Bonham always says, Scott, you got a problem, bring a solution. I got a solution. Where are you get $100,000 going to come from? Is it going to come from the people in the Mount Morn community? Is it going to come from the fund balance? Set that $100,000 out there on that lectern and say, okay, go for it. It's one of the best elementary schools in the system. You find a way to make it even better, you can have your money. But give Miss James that opportunity at Union Grove. Do you forget that a few of these board members named Cloverleaf School as a math and science magnet? You don't find that as a choice program anymore, and it didn't come up in a board meeting that I find any recollection of me being here or showing up in the minutes that just never did succeed, and so it just kind of fell off the wayside. There is no math and science magnet at Cloverleaf anymore. If we'd have paid an organization, a worldwide organization, $100,000 to make sure that it maintained a math and science magnet allocation, would it still be a math and science magnet? Maybe. Maybe we ought to demand that the administrators and the teachers and the folks in our schools aspire to that greater level instead of having to pay somebody to ask them to aspire to that level. I appreciate y'all's service.
Anyone else in the audience that wish to speak? Thank you for our speakers. Any board member wish to make any comments tonight?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I was quite interested with Ms. Wood's comments, also her email. And Mr. Johnson, could we get a presentation from Dr. Taylor or whoever at the December Cal meeting to explain? I understand why we're doing some things, but I do think Ms. Woods brought up some good questions. Would you like to address that?
I'd be glad to answer that. I'd be glad to answer that now or at the December Cal meeting, whichever you prefer. We did meet with, as we talked with you about this summer, with the principals about moving to cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude recognition in order to recognize more students. The district never has mandated how schools select their graduation speakers, nor are we interested in that. Schools can still continue to select their graduation speakers as they wish. However they announce their speakers, we don't get into graduation announcements or any of that kind of stuff. That would be an individual school decision. Now, I know at that meeting, there was one high school specifically who said, we don't announce that, and we will not continue to announce that just because it would lengthen the ceremony, but that would be an individual school by school. That is not a district.
Okay, so it's not a district order, it's left to the individual schools.
Left to the individual schools.
And to their staff
Now,
to.
the principals,
Is that not on the principal agenda, or have we been misinformed? That it was a school-based decision, but we were told that to avoid problems at our school?
It's on the agenda tomorrow, but what we wanted to remind the principals of tomorrow is it's a site-based decision.
Thank you, that takes away my questions.
I got one question. Are you saying the principal decides that, or are you saying a team of people at that school decide that?
it's a school-based decision. However they select that is however they select that. However they have been doing it. Some schools, it is strictly the number one, number two, number three persons or whatever. Some, it might be number one person or student council president or senior class president. Other schools, they have an application process, and students who are interested in speaking would apply to speak, and there would be a panel that reviews and selects their speakers. So it has never been district managed, and it will continue to be however the schools select their speakers.
And I would say, as far as a principal decision, what we would recommend to the principals, that they not make that decision in isolation, that it should be part of their school improvement team or a graduation committee, but it should be a joint decision.
And however they make those announcements, that is a school-based decision.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't
No.
something we had done. Because I agree, the closer to classroom decisions made, the better the decision is. Thank you.
Just a point on that. My daughter just graduated West, and there was 5 seniors that spoke. One did the prayer, one did this, and the others 2 valedictorian, salutatorian, and all. So they made a decision with Mr. Palmer to have how many people spoke. And one student did a special presentation on music. So it was not isolated. There was 5 seniors participating.
All we've said, and this is what we talked about with you at the board meeting this summer, is as a district, we are moving away from just the identification of valedictorian, salutatorian, and that, so that we can have a more all-encompassing recognition. Because right now, basically, the salutatorian and the valedictorian are the only ones that have been previously.
And the term was recognition.
Right, recognition.
You know, that's what I kind of.
Ultimately, you know, by
Recognition.
definition of valedictorian, salutatorian, you always will have a valedictorian, salutatorian, a number 1, number 2. And the reason that some schools are moving away from that is with the changing and moving to a 10-point grading scale and no differentiation between pluses and minuses, that differentiation between students is going to get harder and harder to delineate. So some schools have decided to do that, to look at other avenues for speakers, but that is, like I said, it's totally a school-based decision as to how they decide that.
One comment. Mr. Dellinger, I did know you guys won state. I read it on Miss Dowell's Facebook, and congratulations. Hopefully you guys will be presented to us maybe next month in recognition. So I just congratulate you on your honors.
Thank you very much. We are performing at state November, is either 19th and 20th or 20th and 21st. And it was out of the first, there was about, I think it was 16 schools that went to the regionals, and they chose a runner-up and 2. And so it was a great opportunity for us. Our play was great. Ms. Dowell's an amazing teacher, and she does very well with us. And hopefully we can go to the next level after state. And I don't know, it's just, theater's just a good way for people to express themselves. Like, getting into theater with me it helped me, like, I'm already a social person in general, and I'm not afraid to express myself, but I've seen people that have been very closed and very inside themselves. And when they get in theater, I just see them turning out like me, like going out there talking to people, just being who they want to be, and be acting in roles. You get to act as certain people that you don't normally get to be. Like, and you look in movies, like a normal man can be a hero, a superhero, be a supervillain. He can be a detective. He can be a cop, and he doesn't even have to get paid to be those things. But he acts as those things, and he gets to see their way of life and try new things out. So, I mean, I just feel like theater is an important thing for people because it helps them with certain stuff. Like it helps with reading, English, dialogue. It does help a little bit with math as well, something I found. And so, thank you guys for that. And Miss Haynes, is that it?
Yes.
Thank you for that compliment. It means a lot to me.
I too have been to several. Miss Dowell is a great teacher. Both my sons went through that program. One last comment. I wanted everyone to check out. There we go. South Iredell State volleyball champions.
I'd just like to say that young man from Lake Norman, I know his teacher, she taught my students, and they took her to Lake Norman, but I just wish the room was full of students like you up here tonight telling us things that maybe we don't know or we've missed. So that's what I regret, that we don't have more people. Even though it is raining outside, I would like to see more students come and bring things to that, so thank you.
Move to Mr. Johnson for superintendent comments.
I think I don't have anything tonight, Dr. Cash, so don't want to disappoint anybody, but I'll pass.
Okay. All right, well,
Before you get into
let me
date-
mention some dates.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say,
Mr. Gallagher,
but before you got into the dates, and I'll get into I got a couple I want to add that you may not have on there, but this coming Wednesday is Veterans Day, and we did the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any veterans in the audience at all tonight that we'd like to recognize? Wednesday's Veterans Day. Any veterans? I know Mr. Armstrong has 2 captains in his family. His 2 daughters are captains. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay. Sorry to see that. Sorry we don't have any veterans in the audience tonight, but anyway, go ahead with the dates. Sorry.
well, November 11th is a holiday to honor Veterans Day. November 25th is an annual leave day. November 26th and 27th will be holidays for Thanksgiving. December 7th, the Committee of the Whole meeting at the ADR Education Center, again at 6 p.m. December 9th is an early release professional development day. And then December 14th will be our next Board of Education meeting here at the Iredell County Government Center at 6 p.m. So with that, we need to,
I got a couple more dates I want to give you right quick.
sorry,
All right, just before we go into closed session, tomorrow, November 10th, since students are out of school on the 11th, tomorrow, Tuesday, November 10th at 9 o'clock, senior high school will have their veterans ceremony. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock at West Iredell High School will be one of the largest, if not most productive, and you'll see more people there than ever, but West Iredell High School is doing their veterans activities tomorrow. So tomorrow at 9 at senior high and tomorrow at 10 at West Iredell High School, and y'all should all be invited and should know about that. And I hope that y'all got your letter in the mail. Did y'all get the thing from Farm City Week for November 24th? Okay, just wanted to remind everybody for that at the Agriculture Center, and Kiwanis Club puts on the Farm City Week. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
entertain a motion to go back into closed session for personnel issues.
Dr. Cash, we also have a contract we need to present to you in closed session.
Okay.
All right.
Personnel.
According to the North Carolina General Statute 143-318-22.22, I make a motion that the board enter into closed session to discuss personnel issue and consider terms of a contract and to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move into closed session. Again, thanks everyone for your comments tonight and for your patience with us.